60. Like as thou art all-powerful over me, so is thy guardian. For although he is the dog of thy door, he is the master of me. Though he may do me 1,000 injuries, I will not return them. For thy sake, civility towards him is expedient unto me. Whatever wrongs thy heart desireth, heap them upon my head, since everything improper of thine is meet and proper for me. Though thy coldness drew out the very breath from my body, what matter, since solicitude for thy love is the substitute for it? At the yearnings of this maddened heart I am confounded, for I know not in the least what thing it desireth from thee. In association it weepeth on account of separation. What wonderful dignity hath been the heart's fortune to acquire? Now taking thy love into account, again considering its tyranny, at one breath the heart is impetuous, and at another it is repentant. May the Almighty keep the thoughts of thee ever present in my breast. Then what mattereth it, whether thy face may be present or absent be, though Hamid from the beloved desireth the hand of society? Yet what poor beggar hath a patient of nobility acquired? And I am looking here. Rustam is like the Persian Hercules. If you haven't read the Shahnameh, that should kind of go on one's recommended reading list. There's got to be a translation of that that's old enough for me to share on the channel. There's a lot of stuff for me to share. I talk about everything. People are so like, oh, how can you talk about this? Or why don't you all only talk about this? It's like, well, okay, watch those playlists, whatever. I'm trying to get a bit of things. You know, Yaman, you know, is famous for its rubies. We probably usually say this, Yemen. Jamal Khan was of the tribe of Mohman, the clan of Kurzi, about the year 1122 or 1711 of the Common Era, during the governorship of Nasir Khan. Subadar of Kabul was raised to the chieftainship of his clan, during which time he plundered and destroyed the village of Asau, one of his own tribe. About this time, the marriage of Jalal, son of Jamal, was about to be celebrated, and the Subadar himself sent the sum of 2,000 rupees towards its expenses. Asau, however, bent upon taking revenge, and Jamal's clan being weak in proportion to his own, he sent his spies to bring him intelligence when his enemy should be occupied in his son's nuptial ceremonies to fall upon him. On the night of the marriage, therefore, he assembled his friends and clansmen and came upon Jamal's village. Jamal, though totally unprepared for such an attack, came to meet his enemies, but having been badly wounded, he had to seek shelter within the walls of his own dwelling. On this, Asau set it on fire, and Jamal, with his son and family and his parties, assembled at the celebration of the wedding. The amount of upwards of 80 men, women, and children were consumed. According to the poet Halman, Gul Khan was the only friend who stood by Jamal on this occasion and was burnt to the death with the others, thus proving his friendship by the sacrifices of his life. Asau was the same tribe as Hamid himself, and the poem seems to have been written in reply to the one by Rahman, who takes on the part of Jamal by way of defending Asau. And the Scythians, you know, certainly mixed in with a lot of people. The Sakas, as they were known. Bilal is the example of a former slave, someone who's honored as a slave, honored as a former slave, and honored as being, you know, I mean, the Arabs are what in America we call black, but they definitely considered the people further into Africa black, and there still remains a lot of prejudice. It's waned at times, but Arabia is a place where there's a lot of prejudice against people that are, you know, dark skinned. Well, I mean, you know, that are black in particular. And in favor of those who bred so much with the Europeans that they're too pale for, you know, that area. Well, I mean, I guess, you know, you don't have to have all the crayons in one box, but you know what I mean. We get overwhelmed by the heat easier. We get sunburned easier and all that other stuff. But so one of the ways that women in Afghanistan that aren't following the Islamic tradition ornament their hair is they put patches of gilt paper on it. You know, so they don't cover their hair when they stick out this paper on their hair. And there's differences in how the women and the men, I mean, how the there's a lot of artificial differences implemented in style between the sexes. But you find the difference between maybe children and adolescents and others of childbearing age are perhaps the unmarried females have certain hairstyles. And Laylatul Qadr or Shab al-Qadr is thought to be the 27th of Ramadan. It's agreed that it's the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So the 21st to the 30th or the 20th to the 29th. It's one of those nights always. And the best 10 nights of the year are always that. So I wouldn't want to miss any of the best 10 nights of the year. I never want to miss any of those nights in terms of just treating it like a normal night, you know. And there are people who believe that serpents and dragons guard treasure and all that stuff. I'm thy sacrifice, let my parents be sacrificed. There was that sort of talk like all over, really. And there's certain seating arrangements and stuff like this that would be, you know, known to represent certain positions of honor and dignity in regards to some people. Some things are, oh, there's like a winged sort of ant thing that birds come prey on. Do they mean a locust or what do they mean there? Some references in poetry refer to like some sort of resource in an area. It's not the place that they really care about, but the resource